Oh, that might have been from me typing.
Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to episode 232, or you're joining us live on Facebook or YouTube immediately following UFC Fight Night 187 from the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today is Saturday, March 13th. Coming up on St. Patrick's Day. We got a whole lot of stuff going on. A whole lot of non-MMA things I want to talk about. Before we get into anything, let me introduce my co-host all the way from New Jersey, Jeff, the Animal Wilson. Jeff, how are you feeling in that creaky chair on this Saturday evening, my friend?
Bill, it is creaky, but it is comfortable, man. I got this chair to help with the virtual teaching thing, which, Bill, before we get into too much, as you know, Bill, my school district went back in person, well, hybrid, so I had a few kids in the room with me. Most of them were still virtual, so everybody else is on a big Zoom call. And we were in the building for 2 weeks. So we just wrapped up week number 2. And Bill, we already have to go back to virtual for a week. Mm-hmm. Bill, I'm not complaining. I enjoyed, being in the building with the kids. It's obviously very beneficial for the kids. I felt like they were getting a lot more out of it. At least those who were in the room with me. But Bill, for anybody who's saying, that why are we closing schools? Schools can be open. Have you ever been around a child? They want to hug everybody.
Yeah, I'm around one every day.
Actually. Yeah, exactly. They want to hug everybody, lick people. I mean, Bill, I got to remind these kids at least once a day to keep their mask on because they do what I call the chin strap, which is where they have their mask down here. Mm-hmm. Gently holding their chin in place. But anyway, Bill, enough about my complaints here.
With those kids who like to lick people, they sometimes grow up to become adults who like to lick people, and then they become like governor of New York.
Bill, man. Oh man, Bill, you get me, man. This is why we're friends.
Not to change gears too drastically on you, Jeff, but I do want to start out on a sad note here. I heard just before the start of the UFC broadcast about the passing of Marvelous Marvin Hagler, one of the most exciting boxers of all time. Died of unknown causes as of right now, unexpectedly in his home at the age of 66. Marvin Hagler was amazing, man. He was just like one of these guys that was like carved out of stone. I think to this day, his fight with Tommy Hearns is still widely regarded as one of the best rounds in the history of boxing, where these guys just slugged it out like so technically. It's like a fight that you throw on when you need some extra motivation to get going. So I was so saddened to hear of his death at such a young age for a guy who stayed in great shape. He went out on top. He lost a controversial decision and then bowed out from boxing. He was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Moved to Italy, I believe, for a while and starred in some spaghetti Western movies. But just kind of walked away from boxing and was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. Part of the original 4 horsemen of boxing. A really unexpected and a really tragic loss for combat sports. Jeff, I have to ask, because I know you're a bit younger than I am, and even Marvin Hagler was before my time. I was introduced to him from other people. My father and my Uncle Tommy, who are bigger boxing fans than me, would tell me to watch his fights and stuff like that. Are you familiar with Marvin Hagler at all, Jeff?
Unfortunately, no, Bill. I'm not a huge boxing fan, but it sounds to me like there's a big loss for the boxing world, and my condolences.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely thoughts go out to his family. I from what I read, it's very cryptic, like what actually happened. He passed away in his home. It sounds like his wife found him, which is always such a tragedy. When you have to find a loved one who's passed away in your home. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing okay. And man, 66 years old. It looked like the guy was still in good shape. Just he put on so many classic boxing matches, Jeff. I definitely encourage you to go back and look through his catalog. Even if you don't enjoy boxing, I feel like Marvin Hagler put on the kind of fights that people who don't even like boxing would enjoy. So I encourage you to do that, Jeff. I encourage all of you listening to do that. And rest in peace, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. I hate to start the show off on such a bummer of a note, but it's definitely something I had to bring up since it just happened, and it's definitely a big deal for the combat sports world. Yeah, I don't know, Jeff. I've got a lot of stuff going on, but you want to just get right into these fights here? That's probably what people are tuning in for the live show for, to get our immediate reaction to what we just witnessed, and unfortunately what Belal Muhammad had to witness with one eye. So I
Bill, I didn't want to laugh at that, but it was so funny, man.
I didn't mean it as a joke until it came out of my mouth and you started laughing.
You're like Jerry Seinfeld. You don't know how to not be funny, Bill.
Yeah, I guess it just comes so naturally, Jeff. Just flows out of me. This is actually what I needed, Jeff, because I've been kind of bummed out this week, so I need like a good pick me up of an remember the eye poke.
I think we have the name of the episode.
Yeah, I think Mark Fellows might have just won the name the episode contest. Man. It was really unfortunate for Belal Muhammad. I hope his eye is not, seriously injured. It looked like it could be. He took that finger like knuckle deep from Leon Edwards. But when all is said and done, I think Leon Edwards is probably the one that's going to pay the most for this one, because here's a fight that he was clearly winning. He was controlling most of the fight. Definitely controlling all of the stand-up. He landed a nice head kick in the first round. He had Belal bleeding from the side of his head, from his ear. He poked him in the eye in the first round. He was warned by Herb Dean, and then he poked him again in the second round, which subsequently ended the fight. The doctor kind of said that Belal Muhammad wasn't able to continue. I mean, you could kind of tell Belal knew it too, because he was very upset. Herb Dean was trying to calm him down. It definitely could have been ruled a disqualification, Jeff. Even though it probably wasn't intentional, he was warned about his fingers. So, once you're given the warning, you're responsible, man. And I remember us covering this on the show like it was yesterday. I believe it was 2016 when they amended the unified rules and said that you could be charged a point just for reaching your hand forward with your palm open. I remember when they changed that rule. So yeah, I guess that was like 5 years ago now. That they made that rule change. I remember it was very early on. It was in the first couple of episodes of MMA on the Rocks that we talked about this. Give me your reaction to how everything went down in this main event here, Jeff.
Yeah, Bill, I agree with you on all accounts. I actually remember that episode too, because Bill, you actually did that episode with your brother-in-law, Dave, the Portuguese man of war.
That's true.
And that episode specifically stands out to me because one of the rule changes was that you couldn't grab somebody by the clavicle.
Yeah.
and Dave was kind of just like surprised at how ridiculous that rule was, and so was I. So that's
Yeah.
so I always remember when that ruling was put out there. But
still never seen somebody get a point deducted for a clavicle grab, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean they've been warned, so.
Yeah, people listen to that one. That one, they read that rule. They skipped over the open hand thing. They're like, oh man, I just can't grab him by the clavicle. But I don't know what to do with my hands.
But Bill, man, my whole, at this point, I kind of want to see somebody grab somebody by the clavicle just to see if they get called on it. Like, who remembers that ruling?
Well, there's been a lot of confusion with a lot of rules. From last week with the whole Aljamain Sterling Peter Yan debacle to this week, we had another illegal knee on the card tonight from your boy. Which I know that's the other thing, Jeff. I know you didn't see a lot of these fights, so a lot of it is going to be me telling you what happens and you reacting to it. But you did see this main event. What do you think the implications are going to be here, man? Because, Leon Edwards was promised a title shot if he looked impressive, and he definitely was on the way to looking impressive, but it just seems like, fate is not on the side of Leon Rocky Edwards when it comes to his mixed martial arts career, man, because, he's winning fights. He was on a tear, and it was all downhill after a 3-piece and a soda. There was COVID, and he couldn't get out of England, and then nobody wanted to fight him, and then he didn't want to fight the people that were being put in front of him, and then he did, but then there was COVID happening to them. So finally, they give him the number 13th ranked Belal Muhammad, who steps up on a few weeks' notice after fighting exactly a month ago. And then this happens. So, man, a buddy of mine, Matt, texted me, and he said, Leon's getting cut, and that would be really shitty, but it's not outside of the realm of possibility because, he was rubbing the organization the wrong way, and, a lot of unfortunate things happened, but it's like a Lemony Snicket novel for Leon Edwards here. Not a lot of people are going to get that reference, but I know you as an English teacher would appreciate that one, Jeff, but what do you think?
Yeah, man, it's definitely been a series of unfortunate events for Leon Edwards, man. But a part of me feels for him because, he was looking really good in there. I didn't see Belal Muhammad doing too much to trouble him. But, Bill, I mean, I could have seen this going as a disqualification. Like you said, he was warned. And, man, when Belal Muhammad took that finger to the eye, you could tell he was in so much pain. And I think that part of why he was screaming and crying and stuff wasn't just the pain he was in. I think he was, one, genuinely concerned that he might not see out of that eye again because, after he took his hand away, it was swollen. It was all red. The bottom of his eyelid was really red. It looked like, maybe like something was cut for sure. And, we didn't even get a full look at the eye because it was just shut for so long. And aside from that, I think he was disappointed that he couldn't work his way back into the fight. I don't think, he didn't want it to end that way. Just like Aljo didn't want his fight to go that way last week. But, dude, a tough spot for Leon Edwards. But I just hope Belal Muhammad's okay, man. You need both eyes for depth perception and everything. So hopefully, he's not too bad and we see him back in a few months.
Yeah, for sure. I know he wouldn't want it to end this way. He would rather take like a full 5-round beating and lose that way or get TKO'd or get submitted even than probably have it end this way where he doesn't even have the opportunity. And who knows if he'll get this chance again. This was kind of a fluke where Khamzat Chimaev pulled out of the fight and Belal Muhammad was like the only guy willing to step up into a main event. If he wins this fight, that's it. He becomes a main event fighter. He may not fight for the title, but he'll probably be fighting on the main event of a fight night in the not so distant future. He would have moved way up in the rankings. It was a huge opportunity. And it was a blown opportunity for Leon Edwards. He had the chance to prove that he'll fight anybody. He'll fight somebody on short notice as well. Even a guy as tough as Belal Muhammad, and all he had to do was keep doing everything that he was doing except moving forward with his hand open. That was the only thing he had to not do, and he did it. I mean, I'm sure Dana is pissed, you know. He never expects fighters to continue when they're fouled and stuff, but he definitely holds grudges for things like this when main events get fucked up like this. You know, you remember not too long ago it was Jeremy Stevens and Yair Rodriguez that this happened with, and you know, you don't really hear much about those guys anymore. They had the rematch. I barely remember what happened.
Yeah, I mean, who the fuck are those guys? I mean,
that's the question, isn't it, Jeff? But anyway, that was that. What do you think happens? You know, what do you do with Leon Edwards now? Like, he looked good for the time that we saw him. It looked like he didn't have any ring rust. He was actually pressuring Belal Muhammad, who is usually the pressure fighter in most situations. You know, what do you see as being next for him?
I don't know, man. It's tough, Bill, because, you know, I wasn't a big fan of Leon Edwards heading into this, and, you know, it's not a good look. I don't think the UFC will cut him right away, but I mean, it's tough, man. You know, the UFC, they like people to volunteer for things. You know?
I wouldn't be surprised if they scheduled this fight as a rematch, as a 3-round fight, not as a main event. You know, as soon as Belal Muhammad is able to heal up, which is not ideal for Leon Edwards. That's probably the best case scenario for Belal Muhammad, because if he doesn't get this rematch with Leon, then, you know, he's back to fighting guys outside of the top 10, I would imagine. And he's got to scrape and claw to get back into the position that he was in as of tonight. I don't know, man. Shitty situation.
Yeah. Bill, real quick, though. Mark Fellow says that Leon reminds me of that dude that got cut years ago after that bad foul. I can't remember his name. Help me out here. Mark, I think you're thinking of Paul Daly, who got cut from the UFC after he hit somebody after the bell. Or you could be thinking of Kusamar Palhares, who held on to submissions for too long.
Yeah, that could be true as well. With Paul Daly, it was Josh Koscheck that he hit after the bell.
Oh, fuck that guy, dude.
And
Koscheck.
So, well, Koscheck the whole time just was holding Paul Daly down, and he was whispering in his ear, like, "This is what I'm going to do to your mother," and stuff like that. So, like, when the bell rang and Paul Daly finally had the opportunity to hit him, he did. And Dana White said he'll never fight in the UFC again. He's held true to that, even though Paul Daly's gone on to have, you know, a fairly successful career in some organization. It starts with a B. And
did you mean bare knuckle fighting, Bill?
No, I meant like a legitimate fighting organization.
Oh man.
So let's get to the co-main event. I mean, Jeff, this main card was fucking wild, man. The co-main event, Misha Cirkunov looked good until he kicked Ryan Spann in the dick, and it was like he kicked him in the thigh. But then, like, the backdraft of the kick, his toe went under Ryan Spann's cup. It was the weirdest low blow I've ever seen in my life. It was like, all right, the kick was good, but then when he was retracting his leg, I was like, oh, he only kind of grazed him. But then you see, like, another 6 inches of Cirkunov foot come out of Ryan Spann's cup. And it's like, oh, yeah, that was really up in there. Like, he was up underneath the cup. Like, he was doing the old school, like, remember, like, the school nurse used to, like, make you turn your head and cough? Like, he was doing that with his foot to Ryan Spann. Did you see this one, Jeff?
Yeah. I actually had to do that the last time I was at the doctor. It felt weird, Bill. The doctor's hands were cold.
And then you were like, "What do you think, doctor?" And he's like, "I don't even work here." And then he just
oh man.
And he just awkwardly walked out of the room, smelling his hand.
Yeah, but Bill, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Misha Serkinov landed, I think, one good left hand, and then it was the Ryan Spann show from there.
Yeah, I think you know what? When Serkinov arrived at the cage, I was thinking in my head, I was like, man, Misha Serkinov looks really good right now. It's too bad he's gonna get knocked out. And I don't know why that thought came to my head, but that's just what I was thinking when I saw him. I saw a guy who looked like he was about to get knocked out, and I don't know what gave me that feeling, but yeah, man, he got put down. It was a good stoppage by Mark Smith. He gave Serkinov a chance the first time he got dropped, and then Ryan Spann let him back up wisely, and then put him back down again, finished him off 1 minute 11 seconds of the first round. Anything else on this co-main, Jeff?
No, it was just too short.
That's what she said.
Yeah, she didn't say that to me.
Was it the doctor that was giving you the tuberculosis check?
Bill, the room was cold, okay? I'll be some slack, man.
It is pretty chilly up in New Jersey this time of year. Not here. It was beautiful today here in Florida. It was like 74 degrees. Awesome. Dan Ige making quick work of Gavin Tucker. And I'll bring up my buddy Matt Temple again, who texted me earlier today, and he was like, out of everybody on the card, who do you think is going to have the most impressive performance? And I said, Dan Ige. And he told me, his response to me was like, man, you should start betting on these fights and start doing like DraftKings and stuff like that. But if I did that, and for the same reason I don't usually give predictions on the show, once I do that, I have such horrible luck gambling, Jeff, that whatever I predict will turn out to be false somehow. But I did predict that Dan Ige would have the most impressive performance on the card. I do think he did have the most impressive performance on the card. 22-second knockout of Gavin Tucker, right hand straight down the pipe. I was expecting this to be a scrappy fight, but I did see Dan Ige getting the better of Tucker here because they're both pressure fighters. They both come forward, but Dan Ige is a more precise striker, and it happened to pay off for him really early in the fight. Did you catch this one, Jeff?
Yeah, Bill. Dan 50K Ige, I think he earned the fight of the performance of the night bonus this evening. Man, dude, I think he only threw that punch. I think it looked like it was a right hook, and Gavin Tucker went down, man. And Gavin Tucker's a tough dude. I remember his fight with Billy Quarantillo, and he was able to keep up the pace, gave Billy some trouble, but excuse me, man. Not a good look for Gavin Tucker, unfortunately, man. I think this is going to set him back a couple of steps here.
Yeah, I mean, he did step up on short notice to take this fight, and it was against a much higher ranked Dan Ige, so, he does get some points with the organization there. But impressive knockout by Ige. It was a right straight, just put it right down the pipe, and not a lot of people could take that shot straight on. So, big credit to Dan Ige, who was fighting with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I guess he had read some criticism about how he's not a finisher, and he wanted to prove that he has that finishing power. 22-second knockout. Nothing to shake a stick at, Jeff. Davey Grant getting a come-from-behind victory against Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan Martinez looked so good in the first round and a half of this fight. He was piecing Davey Grant up, chewing his legs up. He looked so calm, so relaxed. His striking was so precise. He was running away with this fight, Jeff. And I don't know if you caught this one. Davey Grant also very likely had a broken right foot. He was getting eaten up with leg kicks, like I said. Martinez looked like he had this one in the bag, and then out of nowhere, Davey Grant hits his combination. It was a body shot to an overhand left that put Jonathan Martinez out cold. Chris Tognoni possibly stepped in a little bit too early. I only say that because when Jonathan Martinez hit the ground, he stopped himself before his head hit the mat. But then Davey Grant jumped right on top of him in side control and started throwing punches. So Chris Tognoni stepped in there. I'm not going to say it was an early stoppage, but I will say that Jonathan Martinez possibly recovered, but it wasn't looking good. You let me know, Jeff, at what point you weren't able to catch up with these fights here. Jeff, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Bill, I unfortunately got home later than expected. I had to give a buddy a ride. So I got home a little bit before the Ige versus Tucker fight. So, Bill, I'm actually watching the Martinez versus Grant fight as we speak on the ESPN application on my phone. But I have the sound off, so it's not going to interfere.
Catching up live.
Yeah. But yeah, Bill, I'm definitely going to check this one out because I'm doing it right now. But yeah, unfortunately, I only saw those last 3 fights. But I'm excited to check this out, man. I mean, Martinez looks like he's not off to a bad start, although he does look considerably smaller than Davey Grant, man. I'd like to see Martinez go down to maybe flyweight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Martinez. I like the way he fights. He's so composed in there for a young guy that doesn't have a ton of experience. But yeah, definitely go back and watch this one, Jeff, because it was interesting to see the tide change so suddenly. You were kind of expecting Martinez to just, continue dictating the pace and running away with this one. But then Davey Grant came out of nowhere. Jesse wants to know what's in my glass tonight. Unfortunately, nothing. I kind of drank down the rest of this rum while we were doing the intro to the show and talking about the first fight. But this was Old St. Pete spice rum. So Old St. Pete, obviously from St. Pete, Florida. It's a local rum distillery. You guys who've been listening to the show for a long time know that I'm a big supporter of local businesses. They make the best tasting rum I've ever had. If you guys follow my social media in the fall time, usually around Thanksgiving, I make a spice rum hot cider recipe, and I always post a video of it, usually every year. This is the rum I use in it religiously. You guys know I'm usually more of a whiskey and bourbon guy, but I had a little bit of a sweet tooth tonight, Jeff. It was a rare occasion for me where I needed something just a little bit sweeter. Went out for some Peruvian food tonight, so I got a lot of salty, savory flavors there. As you know, Jeff, my wife is Peruvian. We went out with her parents, who were both born in Peru, so they always know the best spot for some legitimate Peruvian food, which I always appreciate. Amazing cuisine. So I got a lot of that salty, savory, and I was just craving a little something sweet. So poured myself some sweet Old St. Pete spiced rum. Delicious. You could drink it straight up. You don't need to add anything to it, but it also is the key ingredient to my hot rum cider that I make around the holidays when it's a little chilly out. And when I say a little chilly, I mean for Florida, 45 degrees and such. But that's what was in my glass. And and Mark is asking about the roasted guinea pig. So that's not something that you can actually find here in the States, but it is something that they eat pretty frequently in Peru. They call it cuy. It's basically they spit roast a guinea pig, and it's a delicacy there, I guess. I've never had it myself. I have yet to go to Peru, Jeff. We're planning a trip, before the pandemic and everything. We did want to get down there. I definitely want to see Peru. My in-laws have actually an apartment in Lima, so I would love to get down there and make that trip. So that was the rum, and let's get into the other oops from this card, and that was Eryk Anders, your boy, against Darren Stewart. Man, this is another scenario where Eryk Anders, it seemed like he had this one in the bag. He almost had Darren Stewart knocked out. He was definitely starting to, gain momentum in the fight, and he had him down against the cage, and he landed the most slow motion illegal knee you'll ever see, Jeff. It was like you could almost hear all the broadcasters and everybody watching around the world going, no, as he threw this blatantly illegal knee. Darren Stewart was able to block it a little bit with his hand, but it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Especially 1 week removed from the Aljamain Sterling incident. Like, everybody should be extra aware of these knees to down opponent. It was so bad, Jeff. It was like, it wasn't a hard knee, but like Darren Stewart was already pretty much done at that point. So it was kind of the nail in the coffin for him. The doctor made him do like a weird like sobriety test where he's like making him walk a straight line in the cage. And then he was like, no, this guy can't go on. Like he was determining if Darren Stewart would be able to drive home. Like, I don't know. I've never seen this before. But he made him walk a straight line. It looked like he did it, but then the doctor was just like, no, I don't like the way he did. I don't like the way he walked exactly on that line. So, and Eryk Anders was just like, yeah, man, I fucked up. It was ruled a no contest because it was deemed, not intentional. I don't know why it would be intentional because it was so like slow, and he was like, am I kneeing him in the face right now? Yes, I am. I think it might hit him in the face. Oh no, his knee's down. And that's how that went, Jeff. So give me your reaction.
Bill, I mean, maybe that was part of the strategy, nobody's going to expect a knee to a down opponent 2 weeks in a row. So let me just see if I can get away with it.
Yeah, maybe he had a prop bet on himself. Like, would there be an illegal knee? And he's like, let me bet on this, and then I'll just do it.
Bill, I'm telling you, it's a viable strategy to make money, man. Then buy a nice house in Kazakhstan, retire, somewhere nice and quiet where nobody's going to bother you in the mountains. And, you start a nice little goat farm, and you live a happy rest of your life, man.
Yeah, kid. He's like, your boy's got goats now. It reminded me of an incident. I'm going to sidetrack a little bit here, Jeff. My first job, I worked in a snack bar in Darien, Connecticut, at this really high-end country club. So, I used to make the food and stuff for people who were at the pool, while their rich husbands were playing golf and stuff. And it was very basic stuff, but I did learn to cook in that kitchen. But, we were making basic things, but when it was slow, we would kind of experiment. And, I learned from a lot of the cooks who were working there. They would cook for like big weddings and everything like that. And they would come in and give us tips and things like that. We had this guy, Ricky. Let's just call him Ricky for the sake of the show. And he was like kind of a dope, like he was just like a dopey guy. And one day he was making a Snickers milkshake that a customer had ordered. And he's over there making the milkshake, Jeff, by the blenders. He puts the ice cream in, he puts the milk in, and he opens the Snickers bar, and it was a big Snickers bar, and he takes a bite of it, and then he puts it into the blender and starts blending the milkshake. And we're like, Ricky, what did you do? And he stops the blender and he's like, what are you talking about? We're like, you just took a bite of that Snickers, like you put your mouth on it and then you put it in the blender to make a milkshake for a customer. And he looks at the Snickers wrapper, and then he looks at the blender, and then he looks at us and he goes, yo, I'm an idiot, yo. And
it's hard to argue with his logic.
And That's all I was thinking about Ricky when I saw Eryk Anders react to him kneeing Darren Stewart in the face, like, yo, I'm an idiot, yo. But that's that's all I could think about. I think I was shit, I don't remember how old I was. It was my first like summer job, so teenager. But interesting segue, Jeff. Or maybe not that interesting, but a segue nonetheless. So my buddy Matt Gottlieb worked with me at that job, and he's the guy who has taught me a lot about what I know about cooking. And he's gone on to become a professional chef, and he actually makes his own spice rubs now, and it's called Gott's Kitchen spice rubs. You can see, those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook, I've got a bottle right here. This is the barbecue spice rub, and this is not a sponsor of the show or anything. This is just a buddy of mine who happens to make a really great product, and you can find it online. Gott's Kitchen, Gotts. And I'm not spelling kitchen for you guys. You can figure that out on your own. You can follow him on social media. I'll put a link to his website directly in the show notes. Again, this is not a sponsor. This is just a buddy of mine who makes a really good product. And trust me, guys, if it sucked, I would be the first one to tell him. And he knows that. So like when I told him to send me some and that I wanted to buy some of his spices, he was probably like, oh no, I'm going to get the honest truth from Billy, which, by the way, only people who have known me since before college call me Billy. But yeah, he really makes some awesome spice rubs. This is actually my second bottle of the barbecue rub, Jeff, because I went through it so much. I put it on pretty much everything. I make beef jerky with it. I've done pork. I've done chicken. I've done all kinds of stuff with the barbecue rub. He has a smoked coffee rub that's really good. He has a buffalo spice rub. He has his signature rub. He has a chili and taco rub, and a burger rub. And they're all really good. I can definitely recommend them all. I can tell you that the barbecue rub is by far my favorite. This stuff, it's just like the perfect blend of seasoning. So if you feel like supporting another small business, my buddy Matt is definitely worthy of that support. And I will put the link in the show notes, and I'll share it out on social media. So I wanted to make sure I got that across. And it actually provided the perfect segue, Jeff, because of Eryk Anders reminding me of that summer job working in the kitchen in the snack bar with Matt. So that was that. Yeah, and there's like a bunch of local restaurants. There's like a pizzeria in my hometown that uses his spice rubs, and they sell them in there. So if you live in the New York area, you can go pick those up at Four Brothers Pizzeria, or you can order them online. And yeah, support a good dude, my buddy Matt. Shout out to Matt.
Yeah, Bill, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to try like one of your grilled pork shoulders covered in that rub.
Yeah, man.
And then pulled apart for tacos and stuff. But yeah, Bill, you're a good cook, so I do enjoy the culinary aspect of going to visit you guys.
Yeah, like pairing it with lots of booze.
Yeah, but Bill, I just finished the Davey Grant versus Martinez fight here, Bill, and it kind of looked. I could entertain the argument for an early stoppage, but Martinez went down pretty hard, man.
Oh,
his head smacked right up against that octagon floor or mat.
But if you notice, his head didn't hit the floor. He kind of braced himself.
Yeah,
that was the only thing that made me think he was still with it when he went down. But yeah, he did go down pretty violently. So I'm not going to say it was an early stoppage. I'm saying like there was a possibility he could have maybe come back. He had a hold of Davey Grant's leg, and and I only say that because he was winning the fight so convincingly up to that point. But it definitely wasn't a bad stoppage by any stretch. I'm gonna breeze over the prelims for you, Jeff, because I was busy. I was actually after dinner. I went to my in-laws' house and I had to put together some furniture for them. So I was kind of like watching the prelims while I was doing that, and then I was watching them in the car while my wife drove us home. But Angela Hill, dominant victory over Ashley Yoder. There's no need for these two to ever fight again because Angela Hill has won, twice against Ashley Yoder. So, nothing else to see there. It was a much more dominant victory this time. She wanted to leave no questions unanswered. She looked good. She looked good in the clinch. I like the way she framed the head of Yoder, and you got to give credit to Ashley Yoder for being so tough, man, because she took some big shots, especially for this division. Like, she got rocked hard and she stayed in there. So definitely credit to the toughness of Ashley Yoder. And then the fight of the night for me, Jeff, was Charles Jourdain and Marcelo Rojo. Rojo was winning this fight for a majority, I felt like. And then in the third round, Jourdain just dug deep and, really had to go to the well and wound up getting a TKO victory. His corner, the broadcasters were kind of up in the air as to who was winning. Some of them had it 1-1. Some of them, thought that Rojo was maybe winning the first 2 rounds, but Jourdain's corner did a great job of convincing him that he was losing the fight 2-0 and that he needed to finish. And he went out and got it, Jeff. He went out and got it with just 29 seconds left in the third round with a TKO over the really tough Rojo. So that was a great fight. I told you guys last week, if you wanted to see a really good display of grappling, the Rani Yahya Ray Rodriguez fight would be the place to do it. And it went pretty much how I anticipated. Rani Yahya getting an arm triangle choke in the second round. His jiu-jitsu is just so good, Jeff. He's one of the most underrated grapplers, I think, in the history of the sport. Like, not a lot of people talk about this guy. His grappling is so dominant. I think 21 wins by way of submission, going all the way back to his WEC days. And I always remember Rani Yahya winning a fight like a week after his mother passed away. And after that, I remember thinking so highly of the mental toughness of Rani Yahya. I think he'll go down as one of the most underrated fighters ever. And it's a shame. He's such a talent. His grappling is so nasty. I can't imagine a lot of people want to get in there with him. His takedowns looked really good in this fight. And Ray Rodriguez is a very good grappler in his own right. He has been submitted a few times, but he does have a lot of wins by submission. Nasrat Haqparast welcoming Rafa Garcia to the UFC by beating the brakes off of him in a 3-round unanimous decision. JJ Aldrich, split decision over Courtney Casey. Jinh Frey, unanimous decision over Gloria de Paula. And Matthew Semelsberger knocking out Jason Witt in 16 seconds, Jeff. Chris Tognoni jumping in there with another life-saving effort in the curtain jerker of the card. But there's a couple of ones that I want to go back and rewatch. I want to rewatch the Rani Yahya fight because I saw how it went. I saw the takedowns. I saw the finish, but I really kind of want to go back and break down the details of that one because I was doing other things while I was watching it. The Nasrat Haqparast fight over Rafa Garcia, I definitely want to see that one again as well because I was very distracted while I was watching it. And I want to watch the Charles Jourdain fight over Marcelo Rojo just because that fight was so good. I had Rojo winning the first 2 rounds as well, and I was just so impressed with Jourdain being able to dig deep and come up with that TKO victory in that third round. That's so hard to do. Your corner is telling you look, you're losing this fight unless you finish it, and to be able to go out there and finish it after being told that is another level of mental toughness, which I definitely admired, as you know, Jeff. So I know you didn't catch a lot of the prelims, but did I pique your interest with any of my rundown there?
Yeah, I definitely want to check out that Charles Jourdain fight, man. And I agree, man. A lot of mental toughness required. I feel like in today's society, man, people, if they're not going to right off the bat be good at something or win at something, I feel like a lot of people kind of just turn around and walk away. But for Charles Jourdain to be like, you know what, I need to win this fight, so let's go out there and win, man. I feel like that mentality is so rare to see, so I definitely want to check that out. I want to see. I'm going to check out the Rani Yahya fight as well. Probably Nasrat Haqparast. That Matthew Semelsberger knockout too, and probably J.J. Aldrich versus Courtney Casey. That fight looks like it was pretty fun. Usually those split decision fights are pretty fun. Bill, real quick though, this Eryk Anders versus Darren Stewart fight is awesome so far. I'm still early into the first round, the only round of the fight, but man, it's a shame about that knee because this fight was really high pace and just going really back and forth.
Yeah, you're gonna see what I'm talking about when you get to the finish, and it's like super slow motion. In any case, before we wrap up this card and get to next week's card, Jeff, I gotta give a shout out to our friends at Team Reaper who make our awesome merchandise. I happen to be wearing one of our shirts right now, Jeff. Over the top, under the influence. As you guys know, the most over the top and under the influence podcast on the internet. So if you often find yourself over the top or under the influence or both, you can grab an MMA on the Rocks t-shirt, hoodie, or tank top. And again, Jeff, I still don't have one of the tank tops, so you guys can own one before I even own one. You can get those from our friends at Team Reaper. The website is reaper1.co. And I'll put a direct link to our merchandise in the show notes as always. So make it easy for you guys. You can use promo code MMA Rocks 10 to save yourself some money. That's MMA ROCKS 10. And they make some other great products too, Jeff. They make MMA sparring gloves. They make jiu-jitsu gis now. They have over 100 fighters on their roster. So you can go through all the fighters and check out all the cool designs. I have a couple of them myself. Some fighters that I happen to know personally that I wanted to support. So I went on and bought some t-shirts. They have some really cool designs on there. They do a lot of work with veterans. They give back to the fighters a lot and give the fighters an opportunity to earn a little bit of extra cash. As a lot of you know, it's tough being a fighter. You got to pay coaches. You've got to pay money to have a clean diet. You've got to pay for training, on top of probably working another job. So it's awesome that our friends at Team Reaper are doing so much to give back to the fighters and giving them an opportunity to earn a little bit of extra money. So if you want to support the podcast, that's great. If you want to go and support some local fighters, that's great too. People are always saying like fighters should be paid more and it should be easier to get into fighting. Well, here's your opportunity to do something about it. Go buy a t-shirt and put some money in their pocket so they can go buy some, or organic food and non-processed food and train and fuel their bodies the way they need to perform at their best. So that's it. Our buddies at Team Reaper, reaper1.co is the website. Go check out their products. Use the MMA on the Rocks promo code MMA Rocks 10 if you so choose. So that's that, Jeff. Let's put a bow on UFC Fight Night 187. Great card overall. A lot of finishes on the main card. Early night, which is great, especially because it's daylight saving, so we're losing an hour of sleep, something that I definitely can't afford to lose. Don't forget to check the batteries in your smoke detectors, folks. This is a good time of year to remember to do so. Make sure you keep yourself and your family safe. And let's move on, Jeff. Let's move on to a conversation you can participate a little more in, and that's UFC on ESPN 21, which is so confusing because this last one was just UFC Vegas 21. So I guess this is UFC Vegas 22, but it's UFC on ESPN 21. I don't know, Jeff. They just need to find like one way to number these things and stick to it. But Main event, Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland. I think we know how this one is supposed to go, but nobody seems to let Derek Brunson know when he's supposed to lose to these young upcoming Lions, because the last time he got in there with one of them, he beat the shit out of them. So what do you think about this main event here, Jeff?
Bill, I'm excited, man. Derek Brunson, I think, is a favorite of the show here. Very, very awesome fighter. And Derek Brunson always fights with a chip on his shoulder, Bill, which you know me. I love that. I love the grit of this guy. And Kevin Holland, Bill, I've been a fan of his for a while as well. Watching him come into his own in 2020 has been so much fun. And Bill, we talked about this during quarantine. He was one of those fighters who really benefited from being active and, taking the risk to go out there, with the proper precautions, of course. But yeah, dude, Kevin Holland, I'm glad to see him getting a main event to get his name out there. But I think the hype train might stop here, Bill. Either that or it's going to be a bumpy ride for a little bit while he's in that cage with Derek Brunson, dude. This is a very interesting fight. I'm really excited for this one, man.
Yeah. And it kind of seems like Jacare may have been a little bit too much experience for Kevin Holland in his last fight and, could have derailed the hype train there, but Kevin Holland, proved any doubters wrong with that one. So it's like, who's going to budge on this one? Like the hype train derailer, or, is the hype train going to steam right through Derek Brunson? Edmund Shabazian wasn't able to do that. And Jacare Souza wasn't able to derail the hype train. So that's what makes this one really interesting, because they're both coming off of wins in like the same kind of fight, where Brunson was put up against Shabazian, who was supposed to, roll right through him up to probably a title fight at some point. And Holland was just up against a veteran who could have potentially ended all of his hype, but wasn't able to. So that's what's the most intriguing part about this main event to me, Jeff. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like an irresistible force meeting an immovable object. This is definitely going to be a fun one to watch, dude.
Yeah. And I'm personally really excited for the co-main event. I know a lot of people probably aren't, but Gregor Gillespie, man, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. I just love his tenacity. I love how he's so relentless in there. And, we haven't seen him in, I think, a year and a half since that head kick knockout loss to Kevin Lee. But, I like the way he does things. Like, he makes sure his head is right before he gets in there. And, usually takes a lot of time off in between fights. I had heard rumors that he was potentially going to retire. I'm glad he didn't, because like I said, I just love his style, man. I know it's not a style that is really popular amongst MMA fans, but there's just something about it that I like. And then Brad Riddell is a really tough dude too, man. 9-1. It's going to be a tough challenge, especially for a guy coming off of his first loss. It was a devastating knockout loss where he was put out cold. It's going to be a highlight reel. It's going to be shown for the rest of his life. I'm interested to see how this one goes. What do you think, Jeff?
Bill, the last time that I went to a UFC event was January 19th of 2019 when Cejudo knocked out TJ Dillashaw in that one round. But, Bill, one of the fights that stood out the most to me that night, Bill, was Gregor Gillespie versus Yancy Medeiros. Bill, Gregor Gillespie won by TKO, but before that, he was putting this relentless pace on Yancy Medeiros, and Medeiros did not know how to handle the grappling of Gregor Gillespie, man. And that's what I love about him. Gregor Gillespie has so much power in his hands, but NCAA Division I wrestler, Super, super talented. His grappling is, like you said, man, he just does everything so well, but he does it with such viciousness and tenacity, and he's always chomping at the bit, man. Bill, I'm really excited for this co-main event. For me, this is, I think, the hardcore fans' main event here. I'm so glad to see Greg Gillespie getting back in there.
Yeah, and for me, the most devastating thing about the Kevin Lee loss was the fact that we'll never get to see Gregor Gillespie versus Khabib. And that's a fight that I just really wanted so bad, like maybe more than the Tony Ferguson Khabib fight. I just really wanted to see those, the East versus West grappling styles clash. As a grappler and a wrestler myself, primarily, I was just really intrigued by that matchup. Like, hopefully we'll get to see it down the line in like a submission underground or something, but I want to see these two go at it. It's just something I've always wanted to see, and that was the biggest heartbreak for me with the Kevin Lee loss. We're going to the heavyweights here. Two big bangers, Tai Tuivasa and Dante Almeida, and we got a request from a listener, Jeff. If Tai Tuivasa wins, the audience wants to see you do a shoey. Are you game enough? Are you man enough?
Bill, I'll drink water out of a shoe. Just because I don't want some coworker or higher up to see me consuming certain types of beverages on air, Bill.
All right. Well, what about if you do it off air and I can vouch that you actually did it?
Yeah, we can do that.
We can do it that way, because I won't lie. If you don't actually do it, I feel like water is more gross, because like if there's like bacteria in the shoe, at least the alcohol will kill a little bit of it. Like, I don't think I would want to see you do water out of a shoe. I feel like that's.
Bill, I'll be honest with you. I'm not crazy about the entirety of this idea.
Yeah, I'm not either. I don't understand the shoey. I don't get it. Is it just like, is it like a bravery thing? I don't know, Mark, maybe you could explain this to us. Like, this is not something we do here in the United States. So we do some pretty disgusting things.
Yeah, we do pickleback shots, Mark.
Well, I don't believe in those.
Neither do I. I'm saying we in general.
When I'm with a group of people who want to do those, I just drink the Jameson, and somebody else can have my pickle juice. I refuse. But we do disgusting things here, like be obsessed with British royalty, even though we won a war in 1776 that said we don't have to give a shit about them anymore.
Mark says he's never done one, never will. He just hoped that I would. Okay.
That's fair. That's fair, because I hope for a lot of the same things for you, Jeff. Like things that I would never do myself. I would hope that you would do them.
Well, there's that one time that I ate that cheesy Todd.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Bill. This was years before Ariana was born. I think that was my first visit to you guys after you moved. Down to Florida.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, there's a restaurant in Tampa called Datz, DATZ, and they make a burger called a cheesy Todd, and instead of hamburger buns, it's got 2 deep fried mac and cheese patties that are like, I don't know, probably 5,000 calories each. Yep. And Jeff, to your credit, you ate that whole thing.
Yeah,
it was one of the most disgusting things I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, man. I had to deconstruct it to eat it. I mean, it was Bill, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Halfway through the second patty, the second mac and cheese patty, I had to slow down, man.
Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, Jeff. If there's like an appropriate enough bet that comes up on the show, I'll do a pickleback shot just to show that I'm game to do something that really grosses me out. Like if I lose, like it's got to be a really good bet, and I have to have a really good chance of winning it. And if I don't, I'll follow through it. I'll do a pickleback shot on the air.
Yeah, and I'll I was gonna say something regarding the royalty thing, but Bill, I'll be honest with you, it's nonsense. To me, those royals are like the Kardashians. They get paid for just existing.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see too much of it. It was Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and they're like, "What are we supposed to do? We only can live off of $25 million." It's like they want people to feel bad for them. It's like they're the most millennial royalty possible. They're like, we don't want to be royalty anymore, but still give us money and security. Anyway, while we were talking about Jameson and picklebacks, St. Patrick's Day coming up on Wednesday. I know you're a big fan of Irish whiskey, Jeff. I know you enjoy some Jameson. I believe I've turned you on to Tullamore Dew, which is one of my favorites.
Yes.
Irish whiskeys. I usually have some Tullamore Dew in my bar. That's one of my go-tos. I'll probably grab a few Guinness for this Wednesday to celebrate my Irish heritage. I'm also a big fan of Smithwick's beer, which is a less popular beer that comes out of Ireland, but I really enjoy it. I particularly enjoy it on draft, just like Guinness. I'm very particular about my Guinness on draft, Jeff. It has to be on a separate draft line. It has to be a few degrees warmer than the rest of the beers. And it can't be too carbonated. An over-carbonated Guinness just is a real turnoff for me. And there's only certain places I'll actually order a Guinness, if they check all of those boxes. But another Irish whiskey that I'm really a fan of is called Green Spot. It's more of a higher end Irish whiskey, but really delicious. And another one is Red Breast. If you ever have a chance to try the Red Breast 12-year Irish whiskey. It's a good, pot still whiskey, which, Ireland is known for those pot still whiskeys that have that kind of metallic taste to them. It's not like American whiskeys where they're aged in wood for a long time, so they have the oaky sweetness to them. It's more like a rich vanilla, but still like kind of a metallic-y taste to them, and they're quite delicious. I'm a big fan of Irish whiskeys. I'll give you a couple more fights on this upcoming card, Jeff, and tell me what sticks out to you. Max Griffin and Kenan Song gonna throw down next week. Gustavo Lopez and Adrian Yanez. Marion Renault and Macy Kiasan. That should be a fun fight on the prelims. We got husband and wife fighting on this same card, Jeff. I don't know if that's a first in the UFC or not. I'm not a big tracker of statistics, but it is. I believe it's Bays. It's pronounced Buys. JP Bays, and his wife. I'm looking for her on here, but she's not on this Sherdog card. I know she's on the card, but in any case, JP and his wife will be competing on this card.
Bill,
Cheyenne.
I got some bad news for you, Bill. So that fight was scheduled, but it looks like Kay Hansen, who was Cheyenne Bai's opponent, has pulled out.
Yeah, but Cheyenne Bays is now fighting Montserrat Ruiz.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're right. I probably should have finished reading that sentence before jumping in there. But Bill, who is Cheyenne Bai's husband?
JP Bays, or I believe it's Bays, and he's fighting Bruno Silva.
Okay. Just all right, I had to scroll down a little bit for that card. Okay, that might be a first, Bill. I know there have been like boyfriend and girlfriend couples who, and I think girlfriend couples as well. I think.
Yeah, did Misha Tate and Brian Caraway ever fight on the same card?
I think so, but I only remember Misha Tate's fight from that card.
Yeah, me
Brian
too.
Caraway. He's probably a better coach than a fighter. And he's not even dating Misha Tate anymore, so he really doesn't have anything going for him.
Were they married?
I don't think so. I think Misha Tate gave birth to somebody else's kid. I think she ended up marrying somebody else.
Yeah, she's got 2 kids now, I believe.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, well, you learn something new every day. Yeah, so with my sleeper fight, I'm going with the Gregor Gillespie, Brad Riddell. I'm being super biased there just because I'm such a fan of Gregor Gillespie, but I feel like that's going to be an exciting, high-paced fight.
Bill, you can't pick that as a sleeper fight. That's already like a good fight.
Yeah, but who have you heard talking about it? Because that's how I pick my sleeper fights is fights that other shows aren't really talking about, and I haven't heard any hype around it, so I want to hype it.
All right, I'll give you that one. Bill, I'll be honest with you. I think the fight I'm most excited for, and it's kind of tough. I'm excited for a few of them. I'm excited for that Max Griffin versus Song Kanan fight, man.
Mm-hmm.
Max Griffin, a tough customer, very well rounded, but his boxing is probably the thing he's most known for. Excuse me. Very good stand-up skills. Whoa, excuse me. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Trevin Giles is on here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that fight as well. And Montel Jackson as well. And Bill, one of my favorite newcomers to come out of the pandemic cards, Julia Avila, is going to be on this fight. She's very exciting. I think she's only 1-1 in the UFC or 1-2, but I'm hoping that she can, get herself in the win column again, man. She's a very exciting fighter.
Yeah, getting in there against Julia Stolyarenko. Yeah, this is a fun card. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises on here. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, I guess, celebrating St. Patrick's Day. I hope everybody does so safely out there. If the local bars are open around you. If not, do what I do and just get some good Irish whiskey and a 6-pack of Guinness and sit at home and enjoy it. That's my plan this year. I never really typically celebrate St. Patrick's Day, Jeff, because I feel like it's just the rest of the world trying to live my life for a day. So I let them have it.
Yeah, Bill, that's fair. And Bill, you know me, man. I'm a big fan of Irish food. I love me some shepherd's pie, Bill. I don't have it very often because it's a flood of calories, but I do enjoy it. I also am a fan of the Irish beers. Like we said, Smithwick's. I like Harp as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Guinness, man. That's some of my go-tos, especially since it's cold from about October to May here in New Jersey. So there are a few times of the year where you cannot enjoy Guinness. So, and whenever I have a Guinness, I'm usually enjoying it. So, it's still a little chilly up here. We're in March, but it's chilly. So, good weather for a Guinness, man.
Yeah. And Guinness, one of the best beers you could have after some combat training. It has flavonoids in it, which are proven to reduce inflammation, things like that. So actually, one of the more healthy beers you can drink, in moderation, of course. But, who does that if you're listening to this show? I know none of you assholes are drinking in moderation out there. And cheers to all of you.
Man.
All right,
Yo,
Jeff.
Bill, really quick though. Holy crap! I just saw the finish to Jourdain versus Rojo here. Man, Bill, Jourdain came out in the third round. He looked like a different fighter, man.
Yeah, he was possessed.
It was like new life was breathed into him, man. Holy moly! Damn, that was a good fight, Bill. I'm glad I went back and watched that one. I mean, I'm probably gonna have to watch it again after this because I was looking more at our stream instead of my phone. But man, what a third round!
Yeah, for sure, that was a great fight. Anything else you want to get off your chest, Jeff?
Yeah, just I hope everybody has a happy St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully everybody enjoys their stimulus checks that are rolling out already. Really quick turnaround after being signed Thursday. People are saying on Twitter that they already got them Friday and Saturday. And Bill, one of my favorite things about March is getting a Shamrock Shake from McDonald's. It is one of my guilty pleasures.
Yeah, I do not frequent McDonald's myself, but hey, that's what you enjoy, then have at it, kid. May the luck of the Irish be with you in not getting diabetes.
Yeah, I had one this month, so I think I'm good, Bill.
That's it, one a year. All right.
Yep, that's it.
I don't know if I would enjoy that because I don't do sugar and I don't really do dairy anymore either. So I feel like that would really fuck me up worse than the Guinness and the Green Spot and the Tullamore Dew and even the picklebacks. In any case, don't forget our friends at Team Reaper make our awesome merchandise. I wear these shirts all the time. I wear shirts from them all the time, even not my own podcast shirt, which I even feel weird about wearing sometimes when I'm not doing the podcast. But yeah, they make some other awesome products. Don't forget my buddy Matt Spice Rubs, Gott's Kitchen. Follow him on social media. He posts some awesome recipes on there as well. If you like following those Instagram accounts that make you hungry, it's Gott's Kitchen, GOTTS Kitchen. Again, I'm not spelling kitchen for you assholes. And I think that's it. If you guys want to get a hold of Jeff, wish him a happy St. Patrick's Day and wish him good luck with his green milkshake. You can do so at @animal_Wilson, Twitter and Instagram. You guys know how to get a hold of me. It's MMA on the Rocks everywhere on social media. That's all we got for this week. Rest in peace, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, once again. And until next time, cheers, everybody. Goodbye.